Hi, everyone. My name is Larry. I'm the CTO of Spothero. And I want to thank everybody for coming out to the CTO panel. Today we're going to talk about hiring talent, good talent, how to find them, whatnot. So before we get started, I wanted to just run down the line here and everybody just do a quick intro and we'll get started. John?
Has anyone used Spothero yet? All right. My name is John Krupnik. I'm with Insurance Auto Auctions. Insurance Auto Auctions, we basically auction off total loss vehicles. So your insurance company, when you wreck your vehicle, we take them on consignment. We do the storage, we do the titling, and we put them up for an auction worldwide. In the just real rough numbers in the U.S., we wreck our cars 3.5 million times a year, and those cars are being either rebuilt, exported, scrapped, or dismantled for parts. So we're real excited to be a part of Techweek 2015, and our point here today is really to build our team and get to know some of the other folks out there today.
Hi, I'm Marcy. I am the CEO of the CTOs at Polymathic. If you can tell from my shirt, and I have some to give away if anyone is interested, we have this whole Sweat Equity is Dead campaign going right now. The idea is build now, hire later. It'll probably be a point of contention on this panel. We are essentially CTO, technical co-founder as a service. We're in Humboldt Park, and we'd love to build a product with you if you're thinking about building something.
My name is Milo Todorovich. I'm with Raise. Raise is a gift card marketplace where you can sell gift cards that you're not going to use, or you can come and buy discount gift cards and make your money worth more.
Cool. Well, thank you, guys. And lady. So what's cool about this group of CTOs and CEO is that they're from all different sizes of companies. And everybody's going to have a different perspective, and maybe even some are controversial perspectives. So hopefully it'll be a good discussion. I wanted to kick it off kind of starting at the smaller size, and I wanted to ask Milo, how do you hire your first engineer?
Yeah, the first ones are tricky. Hiring people in general has to be an active effort. It's not something that you can do in your spare time before breakfast or after lunch. Recruiting people, looking for talent, interviewing them, and handling that whole process has got to be something that you take significant time out of your day and execute. The first engineers that we hired were through job postings, and back then it was when 37 Signal still had a good job board. Beyond that, then it's all of the tactics. It's referrals, working with contingency recruiters, in-house recruiters, getting out into the community, and you really want to blend all of this and make it an active effort.
And you guys can chime in too. So if you guys just want to, if you have any opinions, feel free to share.
So you said, was the question first engineer?
Yeah, how do you find and hire your first engineer? Not necessarily the process of like interviewing and whatnot, but more like how do you find them? How do you source them? Like let's say you have an idea, or let's say you have your MVP done, but now you need to find the first engineer that's actually going to start iterating on it and building out products. So how do you find that first person without much knowledge of the industry?
You need to lure them with the problem and with the industry itself, not necessarily like, hey, I need a first engineer and I have a great idea. If it is a really good problem for them to solve, they're going to choose you over someone else.
Okay.
And I like what Milo said, because really people, we're in the business. It's basically, it's a part of our everyday activity. Whether we're here, we're walking down the hall, a reference, an introduction. For us, as being Insurance Auto Auctions, we're not a big a Sears, a Walgreens. But from the moment, what we try to do, from the moment that person walks in, you know, that first 60 seconds they refer to as anchoring, you're processing, you're making a definition on the organization. You know, the other individual is processing as well. And we really try to make an impression right off the bat. You know, the smile, the handshake, understanding them, making sure our managers aren't always doing all the talking. And then the most important thing to me is the closing. Really offering to put yourself out there. Even at my level, I'm going to interview anyone in a leadership position, put my card out there, And what I mean by closing, if it's a Friday, doing our best to get the offer out there that same day. Because I look at the things that really drove me crazy when I was interviewing, right? Oh, we'll get back to you next week. 2 weeks, 4 weeks. To me, that's pathetic, especially in today's competitive place.
I agree. I think my shortest turnaround is I went and talked to my team for 30 minutes after an interview, and we made an offer the same day. Sometimes you have to act that quickly, otherwise engineers or designers, they'll be gone. They'll have 3 or 4 offers within a day or two of themselves. So.
Yeah, it seems in today's market, if you don't make the offer same day or next day, that the candidates already have 3 or 4 other opportunities lined up, and you know, it's a very hot market right now.
Exactly.
It's like real estate. It's a little scary.
Milo, you mentioned contingency-based firms. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, at what point did you start engaging with contingency-based firms? Has it always been a part of your process at Raise and before that, or can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, when we decided to actively grow the engineering team, it was right around the time we got our first strong round of funding. We engaged a few contingency firms to help bring in candidates. You know, we had run out of who we could find in referrals, who we could find through the ads we were posting, and so it definitely augments it. Now, you know, you have to figure out a good process. You have to find a partner that you can work with, a recruiter that understands your style and vibe and the type of candidate. And you have to invest a lot of energy in really training them, and you know, from time to time firing them as well if they're not working for you. But it's one of the tools that we continue to use to grow our talent.
John, so you have a larger company. Would you say that you would be a better candidate for using that type of firm, or would you have a different strategy?
We do use a full-time placement agency, and we did make a change about 2 years back. And really, again, I think style is everything. Having the recruiter that can line up with our management team, sit down, and they understand the requirements, they're talking the same language, and they get it, you know? It happens quickly, and really, with the previous firm, it wasn't anything negative about them. They have tons of experience. We kind of outgrew them, and we had a different leadership team in place, and I think we've met our mark, and we've been more successful in the last 12 months. Still a huge challenge, especially in probably 3 to 4 positions we'll talk through, but and then we can talk later about some of the different things we're doing.
Cool. Marcy, have you guys ever used a contingency-based firm?
No. So the way that we go about talent is totally different, but we're also, we're only 11 people. We are looking to be 20 within the next 6 to 12 months. So the plan's there to get that into place. Since everyone on my team, including myself, is technical to some degree, the kind of people that we're bringing in, since we're all senior level, it really has to be a peer-to-peer relationship. So the largest source of new talent for us is actually taking our top talent and having them talk to people who are out there. I don't poach, so basically the idea is to sell people on the philosophy and the lifestyle change, because we have a very non-traditional way of working that appeals to some and doesn't work for others. So we throw a thing called product dinner every month where people can come in, they can talk about what they're doing. It's a mixture of engineers, designers, et cetera. And if they want to learn more about how we do things, that's cool. They have to be unhappy where they already are for me to talk to them. I found that the best talent, it's not really about money. It's about what you can offer them as far as their lifestyle and also their legacy as an engineer.
And learning.
Mm-hmm. And education.
So you mentioned that you have some of your top people, or maybe all your people, kind of go out. Were you talking about like outreach? Like they'll go to meetups and try to meet people, or will they just kind of, like, how does that normally work?
Usually top talent, they've been around the block long enough and they've worked at enough companies that they have their trailing list of people they've loved. And so they'll always be like, Marcy, just so you know, I have my eye on so-and-so, and he's happy where he is right now, but if that changes, I have every intention to tell him about the grand ways of Polymathic. And it works out pretty well. Meetups surely too, but we try to keep it relatively casual. We're really big on genuine, authentic. We're not trying to bring anyone in under false pretenses. So the meetup stuff, I don't want to look like a cougar either,
Well, that's funny you mentioned that, because I've noticed talking to just friends that go to meetups, and when I go to meetups myself, you have a lot of recruiters there. It's like, hey, you don't know JavaScript. What are you doing here? You know, and it's becoming frustrating because the people there. I mean, yeah, the meetup may be full. They're taking a spot because meetups only have a limited space, and now I've actually heard more people not going to the meetups because of this type of thing that's happening. So now I get emails like, hey, I have a private meetup, which you can't do on meetup.com. But they have a private meetup, so now we're going back to the old way of doing things, of just kind of communicating with your friends, and then you can. It's only word of mouth. It's not even like
Our product dinner is like that.
yeah, which is it's frustrating, but it unfortunately is what it is.
Yeah, nothing against recruiters. It's just
No.
sometimes.
But so when recruiters go to actual events, it just becomes diluted with the wrong type of person. So yeah, I didn't necessarily anticipate that. I mean, I know that I've even seen like IBM there. Like, come on, guys. So Milo and I were talking backstage a little bit before this. At what point do you bring in? This is for Milo to at least kick it off. At what point do you bring in like kind of like a full-time technical recruiter, not contingency-based firm or anything, like a full-time on-site? They're sitting there day in and day out trying to source candidates.
For us at Raise, it happened pretty recently. About 2 months ago, we brought in a full-time technical recruiter. In afterthought, I wish we would have done it earlier. It definitely helps. It takes the load off of the engineers and the leadership who are actually doing most of the recruiting then. And it's definitely worth the effort.
And maybe I should have started with this. So can everybody just real quick say how large your engineering team is? So I think, Milo, you said it was 35?
Yeah, about 35 technical.
Okay. And Marcy, you said yours was 10 or 15?
Out of 11, it would be like 9.
Okay. And John?
We have 250 IT professionals in Westchester.
Okay. At what point did you guys bring in kind of a full-time technical recruiter?
With our change.
Okay.
And it has made a difference. And, the orientation and still, being part of that mid-sized organization, the acceptance internally from the different functional areas, but really having that person there, helping make contact, get the requirements, schedule, until we said cycle time is so important. That's the key difference. And we're starting to measure now as an organization the number of days it takes to fill. So for the last 90 days, these 4 positions compared to last year, how did we do? How did the firm do, so that we have some data to measure against it? Just simple, bean counting basically, but it does help. It takes noise out of it.
Interesting. So taking a step back, so Marcy, her company's kind of interesting. It's a company of CTOs.
Euphemism in this case,
Yeah,
I'm not
it's
sure.
interesting. So in a way, she's here to put all the other CTOs out of business, but not in reality. But I did want to say, I imagine that your company, you had to hire a lot of really senior people. I mean, not a lot necessarily right off the bat, but over time, if that's what you're trying to do is kind of CTO as a service, you probably have to hire some really senior people. Is that true?
Yeah. So we have a lot of former head of engineering team from Groupon, stuff like that. It's a mixture of people who we have kind of the technical level and then the experience bringing products to market. And some people are lower on one and higher than the other, but it all balances out. And then we have everyone overlap and stack. So it works pretty well. But my sell to them, because we can call it CTO, but it's a lot like technical co-founder as a service, because we are doing greenfield for a very specific niche of entrepreneurs. But I basically can tell anyone who wants to join our team as a product lead, as it's called, because it's kind of like VP of product plus CTO plus technical co-founder smushed together, that they cannot get bored, because they get to build multiple products a year, take them to market, and then choose what they want to do with it after that. Do they bring it to someone else on the team? Do they take on a new challenge? Do they want to see it through multiple stages of funding, et cetera? So it gives them a lot of flexibility, and it also means that founders can somewhat timeshare, in a way, high-level engineering, which saves them a lot of money over salarying.
Do you guys hire junior people right now?
No, we're just now adding the structure to have what I'm calling high aptitude mid-levels. Ideally, we are trying to bring in candidates that are not as prevalent, so female, minority, disabled, and veteran, to bring them up to the senior ranks, and eventually we might add a junior team dedicated to that kind of philosophy as well.
Very cool. I know just seeing some of the other major startups, I mean, if Airbnb is still considered a startup, a lot of them start these junior and apprenticeship programs, and I think it's really interesting because it's something that when 10, 15 years ago, when I was a junior engineer, something I would have loved to have had. Working for companies like AMD and Motorola, it would have been awesome having a real. I mean, I had a mentor, but it wasn't like a real mentor. Like they actually didn't tell me anything. So. So I wanted to see what you guys thought. Like, at what point have you added, or will you add? Marcy just kind of answered preemptively answered my question. But at what point have you added, or will you add a kind of like a junior program or an apprenticeship program, John?
Well, right now, I think we don't have a formal program, but through each of our channels, development, infrastructure, we are targeting specific universities. And we make sure that we pay. We're not about paying cheap or just giving them the filing job. We really want to give them an opportunity to learn, because if I think about putting myself in that situation, I had that opportunity, and that means a lot about giving back now. And as you reach that point, I think right now we have 4 on staff for the summer. They all come from different parts, but really making them a part of the team and making them feel like that they're going to take something away from it. And I would actually say in the last 4 years, every time we've done it, they've come back and we've hired probably 80 to 90% of them. So to your point, another great strategy, right, to identifying talent early on and landing it following year.
That's what they say. They say you either pay for top talent, or you train top talent, right?
Right.
So get them in early and recognize the talented ones.
Nothing wrong with that.
Milo, what's your experience been?
Early on, when we were a small team, we had someone who went through the starter league and had submitted to be an intern with us, and he was making a career pivot. He had been doing something else for about 15 years and now wanted to get into software development. And we hit it off, and so we took a chance on him, and we said, okay, you can intern with us for the summer. Through that summer, within the first couple of weeks, actually, he started delivering production code, and through the summer continued to really deliver. At the end of the summer, he came back to me and said, can I intern through the end of the year? I said, well, if that's what you want to do, sure, you can. And so he interned through the end of the year. And then at the end of the year again, he said, can I intern for another half a year? I said, we can actually make you an offer at this point and pay you. I think there were some legal issues with someone interning that long that I was worried about. But he ended up interning with us for a year, and he's been with the team now for 3 years. He's one of our strong tech leads. And so we've had great experiences with that. In parallel to that, as we kind of grew the team out, we've constantly been taking a top-down approach, so filling in senior positions, and then in addition to the technical problems, whoever wants to take on a human problem, a mentoring problem, if you will, we've been giving them the opportunity. And we've had a few graduates from Dev Boot Camp now who have come in to raise as apprentices and have gotten full-time offers. And it's working really well.
Cool. Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense for somebody's career early on. So I'm glad to hear you guys are doing that.
Can we go back to the recruiting partner piece for a minute? So I also wanted to add, you can always make a change in a recruiting partner. And you're going to hear it from your staff, whether it's working or not. But really, I don't want to use the term managing them, but really partnering with them and making them a part of your team. Building off of what Milo said, having them on site. For us, we have them part of our staff meeting every week. They're there. They come in. I have a staff meeting once a week on Tuesdays. They come in, the mid part of it. They give the update. And the other piece I'd offer up too is we've really been pushing them to focus on change in the marketplace, and not just organizations doing turndowns, but any type of change that might be an opportunity where we could also help out somebody. We kind of have a in the news section, and we force them to do that research. And in a couple cases, it's turned into 2, 3, or 4 positions for us. So it's worked out well.
How many roles do you need to be hiring for them to start coming on site full time?
Well, I mean, you got everyone from Milo, right, to the
You
10
know,
positions.
if
And I
we
mean,
look at our
he's a perfect example.
If we look at our open positions right now, we've got 5 roles defined. 4 of them are specialty roles, and 1 just has an infinite sign next to it. You know, infinite number of strong senior engineers. So however many we can find.
I was going to add the comment of like always be hiring, at least like have your door open, because if someone comes on and they're great, especially if they're a great culture fit, you find a place for them.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure that every company, you know, is running very tight. They don't have a lot of slack in their process, so it's probably pretty easy to justify the additional roles and the additional help.
Talking about like finding the right person. So what about a job description? I really haven't thought about this until this moment, but like, if you look at a lot of like major companies, you can tell that there's been a huge shift over the last 3 years on how they write job descriptions. It's not, here are 10 bullets, and I need you to know this, I need you to know that. It's more about towards like what they're going to be working on. Is that what you guys have started doing, or do you not even write job descriptions?
We do have job descriptions, and they really start with where the company is going. In terms of Raise, we really want to change the way that retail works. And that's a compelling story that gets people's eyes wide open. Like, what do you mean? How are you going to change retail? And that's really where we hook them. And then we open up what the technical challenges are and what types of projects they would be working on. If it were up to me, the ideal job description would just be, gets shit done. You know, bring in someone smart, someone you don't need to manage, someone who you can kind of jazz off of and give light direction to, and they just get it done. I mean, those are your best candidates.
I don't want to give away too much secret sauce here, but I will say that this does really help. So we have kind of the whole for talent, by talent thing going. So the way that we've written, instead of specifically what someone would work on, granted, of course, we're more consulting based, so it's not one continuous project, but we're selling them more again on the lifestyle stuff. So when I think about my time working as an engineer or developer or whatever prior to this, I built all my policies having been hired talent. So then when I'm kind of luring them in, it's something like for the great autonomous person who wants the security of a 9-to-5 but the flexibility of a freelancer, wants to be able to go to China for a month and work from there, wants to be able to do all these sorts of things. Because they're already of a certain caliber, and they know that we build good product, so it comes down to oh, that sounds like exactly how I'd like to live my life. And if you guys were to add a paragraph of one of your favorite engineers speaking about the experience of working where you are as opposed to their past experiences, having them kind of speak out, again, it's that sort of peer-to-peer respect thing. It works really, really well.
I think the job description gets it started. But at the end of the day, whether it's get shit done, we're filling one position on a team of 6 or 10 or 15, and it's all about, match or style, right? And you can't really put that in a job description. And we want the individual to be satisfied. We want to be satisfied because at the end of the day, it's the team that's going to get it done. So, I think the job description we still do for, this much experience, this many years, helps with pay, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it's about match, and it's about getting to that as quickly as possible through those channels.
Larry, if you don't mind me asking the next question.
Go ahead.
How do you manage between building teams of identical people versus building diverse teams that can actually lead to more innovative products?
Are you asking me? Can you expand on that question a little bit more?
Well, you kind of said that you want to hire for the match in the team that you're hiring for.
Right.
And so that's great, but if you get a team of lookalikes, your product is going to kind of very much focus.
I agree with you totally. Whether it's not all visionists or strategists or executors, but it is like when you're a basketball team or a football team. You're looking for that left wing, right? And when I interview somebody and I see how they're going to work with those 4 or 5 other people, and I see what they're going to bring to the table, I get excited about it because I do see it as a match, And then other times I can say, man, this individual's super talented, but I don't want to disappoint them. I don't want to, end up in a situation where we're not getting the results in 12 or 18 months. So it's not an easy situation, but I can tell you, when you do find it, I'm sure you guys as well, you get real excited, and you're in the right business if that's what gets you excited at the end of the day.